All right, so let's dive into something that's got everyone in Germany talking.
Yeah.
Robert Habeck's proposal to seriously boost defense spending.
It's a big one.
Huge. And we've got a ton of sources to unpack. German news articles, online discussions, Reddit threads, the whole shebang.
Oh, wow.
So we're getting the expert takes and what everyday folks are thinking.
Interesting.
But, okay, this is the part that really blew my mind. Habeck, conscientious objector back in the Cold War.
Right.
He's now saying he'd join the Bundeswehr today.
Wow.
Like, what happened? That's just one of the things we're going to dig into.
Big shift.
Yeah, big time.
What's wild is just how big this proposal is.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just some minor adjustment. This could completely upend German defense policy as we know it.
You're not kidding. He's talking about spending a full 3.5% of Germany's GDP on defense.
Exactly.
Could you, break that down for us? What does that actually mean in real-world terms?
Sure.
Is that like more tanks, a whole new fleet of fighter jets?
So, think of it this way. It's nearly double what they're spending now, and it blows past that 2% target NATO set for its members.
Right.
Germany's current defense budget is around 50 billion euros.
Okay.
Habeck wants to add another 50 billion on top of that.
Whoa.
That's a massive influx of resources. You're potentially talking thousands more troops, new equipment, a much bigger role for Germany in military operations around the world.
Okay, so not just a little upgrade then.
No, not at all.
Now, he's been super clear about why he wants this, right? I keep seeing that phrase, deterrence against Putin.
Yeah, he's been very direct.
Yeah.
Using strong language, he said, and I quote, "We must invest almost twice as much in our defense so that Putin doesn't dare attack us. We must secure peace and prevent further war."
Heavy stuff.
This is all in the wake of Russia's actions in Ukraine, which, has really shaken Europe's sense of security.
Definitely.
And what's interesting is that other NATO members are echoing this sentiment.
Really?
Especially countries like Poland that share a border with Russia. They've been pushing Germany to ramp up its military for a while now.
So Poland's been sounding the alarm, but Germany's been a bit slower to react.
You could say that.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got this huge defense wums, as some are calling it.
Yeah.
Which means a massive bill, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing nobody's exactly thrilled about cuts to social programs?
No, there's definitely a lot of anxiety about where the money is going to come from.
Right.
Habeck has ruled out cuts to social programs or taking from the existing budget.
Okay.
Which brings us to his, let's say, controversial solution, debt financing.
Hold on.
He suggested looking at things like reformed debt rules, maybe even setting up special funds just for this defense spending.
Wait, more debt?
Yeah.
Germany's usually pretty fiscally conservative, right?
They are, traditionally.
I'm already seeing a bunch of comments on Reddit freaking out about this.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
People are questioning if it's even sustainable, wondering if it'll impact other important stuff, like investing in renewable energy.
Makes sense.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely a departure from Germany's usual economic playbook.
For sure.
And those concerns are valid.
Yeah.
When a country takes on more debt, it has to pay interest on that borrowed money.
Right.
That could mean higher taxes down the line or less funding for other priorities.
Okay.
It's a tough balancing act.
Totally.
So it's natural that people are asking about the potential trade-offs.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
This is where things get really interesting.
All right.
And this is the part I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
Okay, hit me.
Habeck, a former conscientious objector, is now saying he would join the Bundeswehr.
I know, right?
Today,
Today.
what could have possibly changed his mind so drastically?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, Habeck himself has said that the war in Ukraine deeply affected him. He argues that Putin's aggression has fundamentally changed the world.
Oh, wow.
He believes now that weakness just invites exploitation, that a strong defense is the best deterrent.
Makes you think.
He even said, if this attack hadn't happened, I wouldn't have changed my position. But the world has changed.
Wow, that's powerful.
A very stark statement.
It is.
And you see it resonating with some people on Reddit.
Yeah.
They're comparing him favorably to other German politicians.
Okay.
Some even saying his stance is making them rethink their own political leanings.
Wow, talk about a personal transformation.
It really does.
It really shows you how much this is impacting people on an emotional level.
Absolutely.
So we've got Habeck calling for this massive increase in defense spending, proposing debt financing to get it done.
Right.
And on top of that, we've got this incredible personal shift in his views on military service.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Yeah.
But let's dive into the big question. How's the public reacting to all of this?
Well, the reactions we're seeing in these Reddit discussions are all over the place.
Hmm.
Some people are totally on board with the increase,
I bet.
emphasizing the need for a strong deterrent against Russia, arguing that this is crucial for protecting Germany and Europe's security.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments like, it's about time, or finally someone's taking our safety seriously. But
Exactly.
it can't all be positive.
Oh, you're right.
There's got to be some pushback.
Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah,
There's a good chunk of people who are really anxious about the economic burden.
sure.
They're worried about what this will mean for their wallets, their jobs, their everyday lives.
That makes sense.
And then there's another group advocating for different strategies entirely.
That makes sense.
They're pushing for stronger European defense cooperation
Okay.
as a more effective and less financially burdensome solution.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with a lot of different perspectives.
It sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating to see how people are reacting to this. It's
Mhm.
like, let's do this, or hold on a sec, to even, hey, what about other options?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I kept seeing on Reddit was this idea of like, fix what we've got before we spend more.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And one that often gets lost in these big picture budget talks.
Totally.
A lot of people are pointing out that maybe the current defense budget isn't being spent as effectively as it could be.
Sure.
They're bringing up things like procurement processes, how resources are managed, is the Bundeswehr really getting the most out of every euro?
Right.
One comment that really stuck with me said, before we even talk about throwing more money at the problem, let's make sure we're using the money we've got wisely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like trying to bake a cake and just tossing in more ingredients without even checking if you're using the right ones or if the oven's working.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these concerns about how effectively the money is being spent. But is Habeck facing any pushback politically on this proposal?
Mm.
I mean, 3.5% seems like a pretty ambitious target.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's running into some headwinds, even within the governing coalition.
Really?
Rolf Mützenich, who leads the SPD parliamentary group, the SPD being one of the parties in the government, he's been pretty critical. He called the 3.5% target arbitrary, and he slammed Habeck's debt financing plan as way too casual.
Okay, for those of us who aren't exactly German political insiders, can you give us a little more context on the SPD and like what Mützenich's role is?
Sure. So the SPD, the Social Democratic Party of Germany, is one of the big political parties in Germany, kind of center-left on the spectrum.
Okay.
Mützenich, as the leader of their parliamentary group, he basically sets the tone, the strategy for how SPD members of parliament vote and debate on different issues.
Oh, I see.
So him criticizing Habeck's plan suggests that there could be some serious roadblocks ahead. This is not a done deal at all.
So even getting this through Parliament could be a real uphill battle for Habeck. This whole thing really shows you just how complex this issue is.
But
It also brings up an even bigger question. What does this potential shift in defense spending mean for Germany's role in the world? I mean, historically, Germany's been pretty hesitant to assert itself militarily, right? Wandel durch Handel, change through trade, that's been the guiding principle for a long time.
absolutely, Germany's post-World War II identity has really been built on economic power, diplomacy,
Right.
not military might.
Right.
This idea of Wandel durch Handel, which came about during the Cold War, it basically means using trade and economic engagement to encourage political change and stability.
Okay.
But the war in Ukraine has been a real wake-up call for a lot of people in Germany.
Yeah.
It's forced them to reassess that approach.
Hmm.
Habeck calling for this stronger defense posture, it suggests that they're willing to take on a more active role, maybe even a more assertive role in global security.
That's a big shift.
It is potentially a huge shift.
It's almost like Germany's at a crossroads,
Mhm.
trying to figure out its place in a world that feels a lot more uncertain these days.
Exactly. And that internal struggle is reflected in all these different opinions we're seeing of Reddit comments, the news articles, even in Habeck's own personal journey, from conscientious objector to potentially joining the Bundeswehr.
It's a powerful reminder that even deeply held beliefs can change when you're confronted with these extraordinary circumstances.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. We've talked about Habeck's reasoning for wanting this big increase in defense spending, the economic and political hurdles he's facing, and even the historical context that's shaping this whole debate. But before we move on, let's take a step back and bring it back to you, our listener. Why should you care about this debate that's happening, thousands of miles away, maybe in a language you don't even speak?
That's a really good question. And it's important to address it head on. This isn't just a German issue, it has global implications.
Right.
Germany is a major player in Europe and on the world stage.
For sure.
The decisions they make about defense will impact things far beyond their borders.
Okay, I see.
A more powerful German military, it could change the balance of power in Europe.
Wow.
It might deter further Russian aggression, but it could also worry some countries about a potential arms race.
That's a good point.
It's a complicated web of interconnected things.
It really is.
It's essential for everyone to understand what's at stake here.
It's like that butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
Something small happens in one place, and it can have huge consequences on the other side of the world.
Exactly. We're all part of a global system, whether we realize it or not. Staying informed about these kinds of developments, even if they seem far removed from our daily lives, it's part of being an engaged and informed citizen.
So we've looked at the arguments, the potential challenges, and the historical context. Now, let's get to the heart of it. What does all of this mean for you, our listener? Why should you care about this debate happening in Germany?
It's a lot to take in, right? You've got these geopolitical shifts, economic worries, historical baggage, and everyone's got an opinion.
It's understandable to feel overwhelmed,
Totally.
but I actually think that's exactly why we need to engage with these issues.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we're not just watching this global drama unfold,
Yeah.
we're part of it.
Right.
The choices governments make, individuals, societies, it all shapes the world we live in. So how do we, get past that feeling of being overwhelmed and actually start making sense of it all? Especially with something as complicated as German defense spending.
Right.
We've got people saying, increase it, it's about time. Then others are like, hold up, what about the cost? And then there's a whole different approach thing.
I think the first step is acknowledging that there's no easy answer.
Yeah,
No perfect solution that makes everyone happy.
for sure.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
You have to weigh the pros and cons, like a stronger German military, it might deter aggression, contribute more to global
The
security.
key argument, yeah.
But then you have the potential costs, economic burdens, maybe escalating tensions, the impact on other important things.
So it's not just about picking a side.
No.
It's about, navigating the gray areas, thinking about the nuances, and making informed choices based on, understanding how complex this all really is.
Exactly.
And that's where this deep dive comes in.
Right.
We're not here to tell you what to think, but we want to give you the tools to think for yourself.
That's the goal.
We've laid out the facts, different perspectives, the historical background.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's your turn to think critically, weigh those factors, and come to your own conclusions.
That's what it's all about.
So, thinking about everything we've talked about, all the different opinions, the challenges, the global impact, what do you think? What's the right balance between security and responsibility?
It's a tough one, but it's a question worth asking.
Absolutely.
Think about it this way. Do you think it's more important to build up national defenses, even if it means going into more debt? Or should the focus be on strengthening alliances, working together for collective security?
Right. And how do you make sure that boosting military spending doesn't hurt other essential things like social programs, education, or fighting climate change?
There are no easy answers.
No, but asking those tough questions, that's part of being an informed and engaged citizen in a world that's, pretty complicated.
Exactly, and that's what this deep dive is all about.
It is.
We want you to go beyond just passively taking in information.
Yeah.
We want you to actively participate in the conversation.
Because at the end of the day, the choices we make together and on our own, those choices shape the future. This has been such a fascinating conversation.
It has.
I've learned a lot. Even I have.
Me too.
And I hope you have too, listening in.
I hope so.
We've broken down Robert Habeck's ambitious proposal, looked at the economic and political challenges, and even touched on the historical context that's shaping all of this.
It's a lot to consider.
It is, but more importantly, I hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity
That would be great.
and made you want to keep learning and thinking about this crucial issue.
Because there's always more to learn, more perspectives to consider, more questions to ask.
So stay engaged, stay curious, and keep diving deep.